Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to DaveyJay Today. I'm your host, DaveyJay, and today we are going to read some more one-star reviews for one of my favorite movies and most beloved movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. All right, let's get into it. A couple weeks ago, I started a segment where we look at IMDb popular movie review and just a go-to website. If you can't remember that certain actor or actress you really liked in that movie, what was she in again? Okay. You refer to this. It's kind of like a Webster's dictionary or like kind of like a Google for movies. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at some awesome one-star reviews. And of course, the irony in the idea that we're looking at these reviews is that The Shawshank Redemption is probably one of the most critically acclaimed films of all time. Coming out in 1994, this movie changed the game for filmmakers and for movie lovers all over the world. Directed by the amazing Frank Darabont.
Actually, beginning about 5 years before we shot the movie, of getting the rights from Steve King. I had done a short film based on one of his short stories, so he knew me and knew of my work, so I asked him for the rights to this. I think he was intrigued because it seemed so unlikely a movie that he actually said yes. It took about 5 years to get around to it, but then I sat down and wrote the script, 8 weeks flat, took it straight to Castle Rock. They read it, took it to them because of Rob Reiner, really, and because of Stand By Me, which was also a Stephen King story, and a very delicate material. I figured if anybody got Shawshank, it would have to be them. And they did. And I had just nothing but wonderful support from them from that moment on.
The Mist, The Green Mile, and of course, many people don't know this, but he was the developer of The Walking Dead.
Being the zombie-loving guy that I am, for years I'd been thinking, oh man, I'd love to do a zombie thing.
I kept looking around for the thing that might get me into that world. And it was Kirkman's material that I found.
He directed and wrote a majority of the first season of The Walking Dead. So the reason we see The Walking Dead on TV is because of amazing people like Frank Darabont. Now, Frank Darabont was the person that put this amazing movie onto the screen. He's just an amazing filmmaker. And if it wasn't for Frank Darabont, who knows? The Shawshank Redemption may not have seen the light of day. I believe this is a part of Stephen King's novel, Different Seasons, and I think it's called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And it's just basically a kind of a short story. But man, did they do it justice. It's just about a man wrongly accused, goes to prison for a number of years. I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's just say it has one of the most satisfying endings for a movie that you could ever want. Critically acclaimed by viewers, movie reviewers, like even my dad. My dad's not a huge movie guy, but this is my dad's favorite movie of all time. And it's so uncommon that you meet somebody who doesn't really like this movie. Maybe it's not their first favorite or second or third favorite movie of all time, but you mostly meet people who would agree that this is one of the better movies ever made. So let's go ahead and look at some one-star reviews and see what other people think. I love this. Mediocre people reward mediocre cinema. I guess I'm going to try to stay away from spoilers. Maybe I'll get into them. Listen, this movie came out in 1994, so if you're worried about spoilers here in 2022, that's your fault, man. Whatever. Okay, 1 out of 10 stars. A sociopath prison warden, sadistic guard, as well as cuddly and misunderstood inmates. Oh, September 1st, 2003. Shawshank Redemption is overrated. It's a decent, above-average film, but by no means a great film. The inmates are pretty much likable when the warden and his pet guard are monsters. Also, as Freeman's character says, you know that everybody in here is innocent.
Everybody in here is innocent, and you know that? Hey, what you in here for?
Didn't do it. Lawyer fucked me.
As the story develops, you feel like he is right. The only criminals are the ones guarding the prisoners. This is a sentimental piece made to stir the emotions, but not to stir them too much. Just enough to make the viewer feel there is injustice in the world, but that in the end, everything ends well and justice surely comes to he who waits 20 years or so for it. The Shawshank Redemption is, as I said, a decent film, possibly among the top 5 films of 1994. In my opinion, the best films of 1994 are Pulp Fiction and Leon. Anyways, we live in a society where things are either a 10 out of 10, amazing, or just trash. Nothing at all. It's terrible. It's the worst. So there's like no room for nuance in the world anymore. Like, take for example this review. This guy gives it a 1 out of 10, right? A 10 out of 10 meaning this movie is perfect. I mean, the acting is perfect. The writing is perfect. The cinematography is perfect. The special effects are perfect. The casting is perfect. When you're talking 1 out of 10, you're saying this is the worst. You're saying there is no 0, so I have to give it something, so I'll give it a 1 out of 10. This does not seem like a 1 out of 10 review. He goes, The Shawshank Redemption is, as I said, a decent film. 1 out of 10 stars is not a decent film. You know what I mean? That's simple. Okay, look at this. So 1 out of 10 stars, and you're going to say Shawshank Redemption is overrated? It's a decent, above average film, but by no means a great film? To me, that sounds like you're saying, oh, this is like a 6 out of 10. You know, a little better than a 5 out of 10. You know, because he says it's a decent, above average film, right? So what, 6 out of 10? It's not a 1 out of 10. Come on, people. Here's a good one. 1 out of 10 stars, and this one's from July 2005. The basic story for this dreadful movie is Andy Dufresne is a young and successful banker whose life changes drastically when he is convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of his wife and her lover. Set in the 1940s, the film shows how Andy, with the help of his friend Red, the prison entrepreneur, turns out to be a most unconventional prisoner. I think I am missing something with this movie. Having now seen it twice, it's one of the most predictable, boring movies I have ever seen. The bit where all the prisoners stop and listen to the opera music is just laughable. This just would not happen with hardened prisoners. This is also one of the poorest performances I have ever seen from Morgan Freeman. Why he took this role on, I will never know. Go watch The Green Mile. It's much finer work from the duo of Stephen King and Frank Darabont. Now listen, I also agree that The Green Mile is amazing. But come on, this has got to be the better movie out of the two, in my opinion. I feel the exact opposite. I think Morgan Freeman was amazing in this. His narration, come on. I mean, I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I mean, come on. Do you get any better than that?
I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams.
Cliche, 1 out of 10 stars. February 2000. M. Dickey 02. 1 out of 10 stars. This film is nothing but one cliche after another. Having seen many of the hundreds of prison films made the early 30s to the 50s, I was able to pull almost... It's hard to follow. I was able to pull almost every minute of Shaw crap from one of those films. While it is visually well made and acted, the story has every plot point of the standard prison film. They have the evil warden, innocent main character, friendly guilty guy, thugs, and one good old prisoner. Don't waste your time on this one. Rent or buy some of the classics of the prison genre. This guy gives it a 1 out of 10 stars because he thinks it's cliche. 1 out of 10 stars. Unoriginal prison movie. Claude Merker. August 2002. There are some things in this life we will never understand. How did the universe begin? What happens to our souls when we die? How did a movie as bland as The Shawshank Redemption become so overrated? In the case of certain other movies, I can at least understand the reasons why they're overrated. But The Shawshank Redemption is so average and cliche-ridden. The film's morale. The film's moral is basically that hope is important and there's nothing wrong with that in itself. Heck, I have no problem with simplicity. The problem is when you move past the simple and into the land of simplistic. The movie treats its borrowed plot points, Count of Monte Cristo, anyone, and banal themes as though they were freshly minted nuggets of wisdom. I wouldn't be complaining if it didn't pretend to be anything more than a pleasant diversion. However, it is with its very last shot in the movie that reveals its true condescending colors it's had. No. The movie is partially redeemed by three things: the majestic cinematography, the powerful score, and most of all, Morgan Freeman, one of the very best actors working today. As for my rating, yes, one of those jerks gives a movie a 1 just to lower it on the top 250. I think it's outrageous how highly ranked it is here. Even the folks who made it would think it's ridiculous to consider it one of the greatest films ever made. See, he gives it a 1 out of 10, but then he says the movie is partially redeemed by three things: Morgan Freeman and the cinematography and the score. It's like, come on. Okay, we all know that Thomas Newman, amazing scores. Okay, the guy's an outstanding musician. He just knows how to apply music to movies. He's a natural. But if you're going to bring any of that stuff up, you got to at least give it 5 out of 10 stars or 4 out of 10 stars. Because if you're saying that these three things redeem the movie, it's not a 1 out of 10. Because 1 out of 10 is terrible. It's the worst. It doesn't get any worse than 1 out of 10. You see what I mean? Let's see. Let's find a really funny one. Here's a good one. Snarling Critique, July 2002. Awful. A dreadful disgrace. I hate people who just... yeah. Okay. Anyways. The weird punctuation. It's not my thing. Awful. A dreadful disgrace. The film is the most cliched in cinematic history and is worthy of no respect. Ouch. Even worse is how it is so flawless, yet it is still of no quality. I do not know how this film can be revered over others such as Psycho, Apocalypse Now, Raging Bull, Easy Rider, The Godfather, The Killing Fields, Some Like It Hot, and Casablanca, amongst others. Shockingly horrendous. Okay, cool. Another guy that says it's super cliched. Great. 1 out of 10. That's a decent review. Whatever. He hates it. Here's a good one. 1 out of 10 stars. Most overrated film of all time. February 2004 by Rich Buck. Sorry, folks, but this movie is a C movie and not an A. I can't believe that people like this movie so much. Okay, how do you give a movie a 1 out of 10 stars and say that it's a C movie and not an A movie? If you're saying it's a C movie, wouldn't you be like, okay, it's a 7 out of 10 stars. That's about a C. Anyways, I can't believe that people like this movie so much. Yes, I am biased. I really don't like Tim Robbins, but he has made a decent movie or two, but this ain't one of them. This is your basic prison movie. What can I say? It has the host of usual characters. The storyline is basic. The outcome I won't say, but it is just so stupid to say that this is a great movie. I don't think it was realistic at all, and anybody who falls for this crap is either delusional or needs some brains to differentiate between an Edsel and a Lamborghini. Forgive me if I don't know what that means. Okay, Edsel, sorry, and a Lamborghini. I wouldn't watch this. So he's talking about me because I don't know how to differentiate the two, I guess. I wouldn't watch this movie again unless I was paid to do so. One viewing is enough for this predictable laughter. Check this out. 1 out of 10 stars. A good movie, but definitely not number 2 of all time. Okay, then don't give it 1 out of 10 stars. It's like, come on. December 2000. This is certainly a good movie with universal themes of freedom and adversity, etc., etc. But I've seen plenty of movies which were more artfully made than this one. What? There is nothing... Movies and music are art. It's like, what? There is nothing revolutionary in the directing. The novella by Stephen King... Okay, that's what it is. It's not a short story. It's a novella, right? By Stephen King is practically tailor-made for a movie adaptation, and it seems capable It seems any capable director could have made a good movie from it. I think the only reason this movie is number 2 on this list is the sheer amount of people who have seen it. I don't know what list they're talking about, but that's what I mean. If you're talking about movies beloved by everybody, or top 10 lists all time, top 100, this is going to be top 5 for sure on most people's lists. Okay? The other truly great movie near the top of the list don't pack the same mass audience appeal that Shawshank Redemption does, nor are they shown on TNT 6 to 10 times a year. Movies like 2001, The Seven Samurai, or Lawrence of Arabia, for example, would bore many of the people who love Shawshank Redemption. And I personally consider those 3 I named and many others to be far better creations than The Shawshank Redemption. Perhaps we should take a poll of TNT viewers on the best movie of all time. Ooh, burn. I bet Shawshank Redemption would place first, with the Blues Brothers coming in a close second. Ooh, TNT this! Woo! 1 out of 10 stars. Not the greatest movie of all time, by Holly W.D. 2. May 10th, 1999. Shawshank is nothing more than a fairy tale. It tells us as much about what prison is really like as Pretty Woman tells us about what prostitution is really like.
This is fate, Edward. That's what this is.
People like fairy tales, so both these movies were very popular. Ooh. I like it. Decent and right and to the point. Very nice. Overrated. You see a lot of cliche and overrated all the time. The most overrated movie of all time. There you go, right? 1 out of 10 stars. After a big build-up, a real disappointment. After reading all the rave reviews for this movie, it turned out to be a real disappointment. Can anyone really believe that prisoners are honorable men while the guards and warden are all crooks? Haven't we overdone the hypocritical Bible thumper?
Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
Let's find a more enlightened characterization. James Bond himself could not have followed the main character's escape plan. The ending soliloquy and the denouement
Today, Junior!
were inferior plagiarisms from Cool Hand Luke. Enough. Unfortunately, fine performances by both Robbins and Freeman were wasted in this fantasy story. Okay, there's another thing. 1 out of 10 stars? Just to say that Robbins and Freeman were wasted in this fantasy story? I don't know. Oh, this is good. 1 out of 10 stars. The Cat in the Hat is better. The classic movie, The Cat in the Hat, 2004, is much better. Cat, very funny. This movie, not. Hey, may as well speak from the heart, right? Okay. 1 out of 10 stars. Why? January 2004. I don't understand why this movie is so popular. Yes, it was an interesting movie.
What?
Well, if it was an interesting movie, how come you don't give it 7 or 6 out of 10 stars? I don't get it.
Okay!
And it was... Yes, it was an interesting movie. And it was a good movie. Come on, what?
Oh, no.
An interesting and good movie? All in the same sentence? But it was not spectacular enough to receive all the praise which it has. The acting was good, and the plot original, but it was still a rather ordinary movie. Apparently, I'm the only one with this opinion. Okay. Cool. Have your review. Say what you want to say. But your review is not 1 out of 10 stars, man. It is honestly... It sounds like a 7 out of 10 stars, you know? Yeah, lots of overrated and cliches. 1 out of 10 wants to be Cat in the Hat. Overrated Cat in the Hat is 10 times better than this movie. Painfully boring, no funny cat with a hat. You could give me $1 million to say this is better than Cat in the Hat, but I wouldn't accept your offer if you gave this movie a 10. Go and give Cat in the Hat 100 out of 10. There you have it. Now that's a review. Anyways, there you have it. Not the most funny reviews in the world, but hey. It just goes to show you that we're stuck inside this weird realm where people's opinions are either, this is a 10 out of 10, it's freaking amazing, or it's nothing, it's 1 out of 10, it's horrible. Most things in life are not perfect, which is what 10 out of 10 is. There's always room for nuance. There's always room for, okay, I like this, but I didn't like this. You know, most things are probably going to fall around 6 or 7 out of 10 stars, or even 50-50. Let's say we read, what, like 8 reviews that were 1 out of 10 stars. Honestly, only 3 of those reviews were legit 1 out of 10 star reviews. See what I'm saying? Anyways, I love The Shawshank Redemption. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching this video, but it is one of my favorite movies of all time. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. Another thing, thank you so much for watching my videos. I am so grateful for anybody who goes to my channel and watches my videos, and I love you even more if you hit that little like button. So go ahead, hit the like button below, subscribe, tell your friends if you like it, if you want to show it off. I'm so grateful for it. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time. I've said my piece, now it's time to hear yours.